evening and welcome once again to this unique televised poker tournament. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw our 5 poker virgins lose their innocence at that table, lured by the massive £100,000 prize pot. Now, last week, in their first heat, they managed to fend off the more experienced online qualifier. Here's what's happened. They all looked relaxed enough before the game.
I've had my lessons, my private tutorial with Devilfish, and he's taught me quite a bit.
It is time for me to reveal a twist in the game. There is going to be a 6th player, and they're out for your money. No nerves visible at the table, but Mark was again the first out.
Not a game for me.
A confidence boost next as they saw off the online qualifier.
Okay, it's been fun so far, so why not?
Then it all came down to a showdown which saw the favourite Liv being pipped at the post by Andy.
It's a pretty basic game to understand the mechanics of it.
Not everyone was happy though, so ahead of tonight's game, Mark got one-on-one tuition with the master, Devilfish.
Once the blinds go up to 3, like what, 3?
Well, here with me now is the man who's been getting under their skin, psychologist Alistair Ross. Now, with the passing weeks, we're obviously learning a lot more about these characters. And you've named them the manipulator, the fighter, the wallflower, the professor and the jester. Are your first impressions of them proving you right?
To a certain extent. We thought Liv would be confident, we thought that Laura Lynn would be aggressive, and we thought that Andy would be quite crafty.
Now, Mark has had personal tuition with Mr. Devilfish. But it's going to take quite some time, isn't it, I'd have thought, to get over the fact that he was out first twice in a row.
I think tonight's a big night for him, yes. I think if he comes through tonight and does slightly better, though, things can change quite quickly.
Who do you think has yet to show their true colours?
I think maybe Lee, because he fronts up as very jovial, and I think, you know, he's maybe a bit more serious, actually, underneath about the game.
Well, the Fab Five are psyching themselves up, itching to get back to the table where they'll face not only each other, but also another online nemesis.
So the group dynamic, I think Andy and I have bonded quite well. There's a lot of rivalry because, you know, first and second and all that.
After the win last week, obviously my confidence is a little higher. When you actually get up there on the table, it is the adrenaline really starts flowing. Yeah.
I'm getting on very well with Laura Lynn. She's great.
I don't want to win yet, because if I win, then people might see my reactions when I'm winning, and I might be too happy. I don't want to see that yet.
Mark's being very detached and not really talking to either of us, any of us really.
I think everybody's going to expect me to be first out again.
And Lee's just being his good old self.
I can't work like this. I can't work like this. My biggest problem initially was I didn't fold. Even if I put a small bet in, I felt I'd committed to the game and I ought to carry on through with it.
I think my masterclass is going to help the way I perform in the game this evening, and it should be an interesting outcome again.
I'm happy. I'm over happy. I'm over happy, content, and I just want to play.
Back with me now is the one, the only, the legendary British poker pro, Devilfish. Dave the Devilfish Elliott is one of the most feared faces in the world of poker. Europe's most successful player, he's been making waves on both sides of the Atlantic since turning pro 20 years ago. His success is attributed to his aggressive style, his fearlessness, and to taking no prisoners at the Green Bays. Now, you've had a chance to study the players and their game. Were you surprised that they managed, after just one masterclass, to fend off the online qualifier?
Well, you know, I think the online qualifier was a bit more nervous than they actually was.
Do you think he was confounded by their erratic betting technique?
Yeah, I think he was probably confused like we all was. I mean, there was betting 2 week. I've had a word with Liv, and I had a word with Mark today. You know, they have to bet bigger, you know, protect the hand. You don't give people free draws to beat you. But I think he was a bit beat before he got it, you know. He was a bit nervous in front of the television, and he called himself the Derby Destroyer, which, as I said, I think he's going to get a new name when he goes back to Derby now.
Now, you said you've already given Liv some tuition, and she did really well until Andy whipped her chips. And how about Mark, though? Did he prove a bit of a tougher nut?
I mean, Max, he knows what he's done wrong. He's in there with very bad cards, and if you start off with rubbish, you usually end up with it, you know. I mean, if you start off with a good hand, you've got a better chance. So I've told him he's got to wait and pick his spots a bit better and try and, you know, select his hands a bit better.
And not stay in too long, because that was the other thing he was doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, he stays longer than the mother-in-law. I mean, he's got to, he's got to get that out of his system.
Before the Fab Five make their way up, let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. And as you can see, in ascending order, Mark, who was the first out, has banked 1,000 chips. Laura Lynn has 3,000 chips. Lee has 4,000. Liv has 6,000. And Andy is at the top of the pack with an impressive 10,000 chips. All the more impressive is that the prize pool remains at £100,000 as the online qualifier ended up in 5th place last week. Join me after the break when this week's action begins.
1, 2, 3. If you think you can beat me, the Devilfish, now's your chance.
UltimatePoker.com are giving away a $10,000 seat in the main event at the World Series of Poker next year. Your chance to win a trip of a lifetime to Las Vegas. We'll give you £1,000 for the travel costs. And to win, all you have to do is answer this question.
Which of these is not a suit in a standard pack of cards? A. Hearts. B. Spades. Or C. Shovels. Go to 5.tv/poker for your chance to win.
Dare you.
Welcome back, and here they are. Liv, you managed to get rid of the internet challenger quite quickly, didn't you?
We did. It was, we thoroughly whipped him, I think, didn't we? It was very good.
Andy, all looking much more confident at the table. Obviously, you're feeling more relaxed than most, having won.
Not so much relaxed, but I've definitely got a lead, which is good. But anything can change on the turn of a card. You know, you watch it out there. It's a tough old game.
It is, and Mark, you know only too well how tough that is. 2 weeks running, you were off first, but then you have had your tuition now.
Yeah, it's been very good. It's totally changed my outlook on how to play, so...
Really? You're going to tell us how?
No.
Lee, have you been studying how people have played, or have you been too worried about your own game?
I've been concentrating mostly on my game, and I'd like to finish a bit further middle of the table.
And Laura Lynn, what about you? You were the second of the group to go.
Yeah, that was good enough for me. I was quite happy with that.
Were you? Well,
Yeah.
you're quite happy with that. Why? Have you got another little game plan?
No.
Well, UltimatePoker.com is running an online tournament which gives the winner the chance to take on this lot for a slice of the action, a slice of the £100,000. Last week, as we know, they managed to beat the interloper, but there's another one on his way right now. Wow, what a result. There was so nearly a little slice of that £100,000 pot heading its way towards Paisley. Andy pulled it off at the last minute. How did he do that?
I don't think Andy's actually doing anything special. I mean, he's not really... I don't think he's a much better poker player at the moment than any of the others. He just seems to be sort of stumbling over the line by... He's not doing a lot of re-raising. Well, I don't think he's doing any re-raising. He ain't raising a lot. He's just sort of calling, and the flop comes down, and he catches it, you know, and he stumbles over the line.
Alistair, they probably realised quite early on, didn't they, that William was a very different contender than last week?
Yeah, it was a bit like a cat amongst the pigeons early on. There was certainly some tension round the table, but Andy was enjoying himself at the end, you would have to say that.
Do you think Andy was quietly confident all along?
Yeah, he's a confident type. He's still got to learn some of the finer points of the game, but this won't do anything to harm his confidence, and he has more chips now than everyone else to take forward.
And the good news is that Mark broke his record and didn't go out first.
Yeah. Well, I told him he had to play a bit tighter and wait for better hands. He could have moved in with his 2 sevens. He should have definitely moved all in for the amount that he had left when he had the 2 sevens. He even asked me downstairs if he should have done. So he knows that he made that mistake.
And Laura Lynn, though, this time it was Laura Lynn, the fighter, as you call her, who went out first.
It's still all-out aggression, that's the problem. As they've said, it's got to be selective aggression. She just needs to learn a bit of patience and wait for something to actually be aggressive with.
Yeah, and very aggressive, which you need in this game. She's the most aggressive player, she's just not finding any cards.
But Thanks very much. Well, let's have a quick look at the leaderboard. And Andy retains his position at the top, having banked a total of 20,000 chips. In 1 week, he's doubled his chips. Liv has a very healthy 10,000. Lee has 6,000. And there is a tie position at the end of the board with Mark and Laura Lynn having banked 4,000 chips each. And of course, there's still no dent in the prize pot. Join me next week.
I feel much better tonight. I felt as though I've improved slightly better than I did last week.
Andy's buzzing and he's loving it, and I think he's got himself down as a bit of a hot shot.
Liv's going to spend every waking moment of her life now practicing really, and doing whatever she can.
I came out first. I thought it'd make a change for Mark.
Pardon me?
Are you a timid or intimidating poker animal?